Hello everybody and welcome back to another VOD review. Today we bring in a DPS player which we have not done in quite a long time. Someone that I actually know from Penn State. If you want to introduce yourself, Zach.
Hi, I'm Zach. People call me Zexel. It's my in-game name. I play DPS for Penn State's D2 white team.
So you've been Masters before, right? I'm pretty sure you said
in like before. Season 21.
So it's been a minute. It's been a minute, and it was with May. So
yeah,
we're gonna see if the May holds up today. But
I didn't play May for more than like 3 seconds.
Oh really?
Yeah, this was mostly a Kree game.
Oh, okay. That's fine. That makes more sense. But yeah, today we haven't actually done a whole lot of DPS VODs, and I know that there's not a whole lot of people on my channel that do DPS, but I mean enough to warrant maybe I do a DPS VOD every now and then. And also, considering the fact of how well Kurovi's been doing, Kurovi just hit 4K SR, by the way, so like 2800 to 4K, good for him. I'm sure most of you know him by now, but we're definitely going to be making a video about that soon, so I was figuring, why not talk about more players that are 2800, like Zexel here, 2800 DPS. But, okay, you said this was mostly a cast game, so let's actually make it so that I can see the comps. Okay, no, you actually played May for a little bit, okay. I just want to get right into it. If you don't have any other questions, Zexel, right off the start.
Nope, I'm ready to go.
So, I want to talk about compositions here, okay? So, there's 3 steps to hitting GM in Overwatch, and I'm probably going to make a video series on this shortly, within a week or two. First, you got to get your mechanics down to a specific degree, and that's something you're always going to be able to work on, so that step's always reoccurring. The second one is understanding how every single character works in terms of speed, in terms of how they want to play and how fast they want to play and what sets them up to activate them. And then the third way is understanding how all of those things work together on your team and on their team and how all the characters interact with each other. Which might seem like, wow, that's a really easy 3-step process, but that can take a lot of time and it takes a lot of thought to really get down. So I want to start the VOD review off by asking you kind of a few questions about like how maybe you can react accordingly, especially in DPS, because DPS it's probably the most important on DPS because it's the hardest role to climb in my opinion.
Right.
So when you look at these two compositions, you're both running Rhine. Only you have a Baptiste, which means you have more healing. No one has a Lucio though. But the main thing I do want to look at is the Sigma here and the Doomfist here. What is the Doomfist going to be trying... Like, with a Doomfist and a Zarya, what does that kind of mean? If they don't have a Lucio, what do you think is going to get more support? The Rhine or the Doomfist?
Likely the Doomfist.
So, because of that, the most important thing for you to kind of deny as your entire team is the Doomfist. Or the Zarya, if you can do that.
Right.
So, generally, what you have to understand that they're probably just going to int with their Doomfist. You kill their Doomfist, and then you pretty much can just win the game. If you can manage to do that.
Right.
It's weird, though, what they're playing is because they also have an Ashe pocket in the backline with the Rhine. So, overall, this composition that you're playing is just really, really, really weird. And so long as you just counter their dumb stuff that isn't really playing together, you'll be fine.
Right.
But at the end of the day, what should you be doing in terms of like where you're placing yourself with your team?
I feel like when I play May, I try to play as closely as I can with my Rhine as possible to try and provide that like extra peel, I guess you could say.
Does it matter what character you're on in this situation in terms of how you're positioning? I mean, I guess to an extent. Yeah. But like, what kind of comp are you running? What does it look like?
I guess it's more of a brawl comp, right?
So what does brawl want to do?
They want to press W and go in.
And how do they want to position themselves according to where they are?
Well, I would assume that the tanks and the May are in this situation are likely in the front line, with the Ana and the BAP in the back line and the Tracer providing support from their back line.
Question. How far away is the back line to you in this composition?
Okay, so say if I would say pretty much if my Rhine is where he is right now, then I would say that towards the back right, by that, not like in the back right of the point, like off to the right side, is where I would think the supports would likely play, because it gives them a way to disengage back into this side room over there.
I would say, honestly, dude, I'm going to stop you right here. Don't make it so complicated. Think about what is easy about Brawl. Brawl wants to stack together and not split. Press W on same target.
Right.
It's simple like that.
Okay.
I mean, of course, there's those micro things about, like, very small, it's not what I want to use. I don't want to use micro, like, microscopic details. Like, okay, here's the line of scrimmage. The Ana doesn't want to be right up to the Ryan so that she doesn't hit cleave damage. And, like, the Ana wants to play back a little bit more. Right. But you don't want to play so far back, because if you're against a dive, like the Doomfist and Zarya, you're an easy target. Or if you play so far out of the LOS of your entire team that the Ashe can, like, somehow get a flank and find you, and you're not right next to your Ryan or Sig, you're gonna die. It's stuff like that. If you just play to the basic idea of the comp, and you can think about the weird microscopic details later, it'll help you out a lot. Okay. But the main thing with Brawl, stick together, walk forward, kill thing. If you're on, like, spam, or you're on a more divey composition, how you play and how you position changes. If I'm playing like an Orisa Sig, I'm taking off angles with my Sig sometimes. I'm playing with Orisa maybe if I'm playing like BAP. Or if I'm playing like Ball Diva, I'm surrounding them. We're not all staying together. We are surrounding them and taking them from different angles. As Brawl, we stay as a death ball together and walk into them. Right. That's gonna change a lot for DPS, just so that you are aware. That just understanding how your team is activated and supporting them when they are activated is enough to get you very far in this game. Right. But let's go into this, because I don't want to spend too much time talking and not reviewing. So you're pretty far behind your team. I didn't really realize how that happened, but it's
I put a sim TP up.
Okay. In the future, if your team's gonna sim TP, just make it so that it's your tracer. And if your tracer's not gonna do it, just walk with your team. But your BAP's already dead, so that sucks. And yeah, that was bad wall. That was just because you went for a sim TP and then you weren't there for the fight. So like, unless you're Tracer or Reaper or any character that's fast, I wouldn't be sim TPing when Tracer could do it. I'd rather you just not do it so you can get a full stacked fight. But now you're on Cassidy, so in terms of tempos between both teams, I'm not really sure what the tempo is between both teams, because they have a Doomfist and that's really fast, but then they also have an Ashe with a Mercy Pocket, which is kind of slow. They also have, I don't know, it's kind of all over the place. So long as you stay stacked with your team and counter the Doomfist, I think you're going to have a much better time with this. Right. So yeah, okay, we're just waiting for our team, I think. Yes, you're just waiting for the Ryan. Hopefully you guys don't go in too early. Can I get you? There we go. Just poking. It's fine. A big thing, because I was watching a little bit of it, you want to make sure that you're not getting out of your effective range while you're trying to play away from their Brawl. You want to make sure that you're still doing maximum damage when you can. Yep, that's good. That's good. Fine. You killed the Doomfist, and now you just get to roll the fight over. So you should be able to just walk in with your team, and this is just pretty simple.
I don't like that I sometimes roll in.
I mean, here's the thing. That micro thing, it's not that big a deal. What I'm trying to look at here is, do you see how easy it was to win that fight? Yeah. Did it require you to be some aim god to win that fight? No, it didn't. You just had to exist in the right place at the right time, kill their Doomfist, and then you win. Right. So when you can set yourself up to make the game easier for yourself, you should continue to do that. Because the game's only going to get harder, and your mechanics are only going to need to be demanded that much more if you don't set yourself up correctly. So if you can set yourself up, like the best Contenders players and the best Overwatch League players, they don't have the best aim. There are people in Masters that probably have better aim than some Contenders players. But what the Contenders players do is they understand how to make the game play to them, so that it's a lot easier. So the more you can do that, the more you'll climb, because again, it's easier. Okay. Right there, I mean, mechanics diff. The more you if you warmed up more, you'd be able to kill that Doomfist easy. Right. Which is also, I mean, it's still a big part, but stuff like that you can definitely do in the future. That's gonna lose you the fight, whatever. We keep moving and moving. All right. Waiting for your team. Here right now, I would not be going on a flank until you're full healed up. Also, I would literally just play with your team unless your Sig's going to come top with you. Yeah. Going on this flank, is not a good idea. Why?
Okay. I mean, I'm pretty susceptible to their Doomfist, right?
That could be one thing. Who's their hit scan?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And who has a mercy pocket?
And who doesn't?
And who doesn't? Exactly.
Got
So
it.
what you have to understand is when they have a mercy pocket Ashe, or just a mercy pocket in general, if you don't, it makes your whole, it makes your kit as DPS feel like terrible.
Right.
Because you're gonna lose every 1v1 with a damage boost against you.
Okay.
So when you realize that they have stuff like that, you have to play to the macro and play with your team, because
Right.
what can Ashe do to your team if she misses the dynamite? Well, once they mess up and you get to just walk on point, you pretty much just win. You're much
Right.
safer with your team as well, since you have the Reaper, so if they do try to just hard engage you with the Doomfist, they're probably going to just die.
Okay.
Because I don't think they're good enough. I mean, I think their comp is low-key kind of better just because you don't have Lucio and you have Ana, but let's keep going here. So this flank, you're probably going to lose the fight here. I can just feel it. Yeah. It looks like you lost this fight. Yeah, there you go. You died. Should die. There you go. That Doomfist is questionable. But here's the thing. If you're with your team that whole time, you probably would be able to deal more damage to the Ashe, so she doesn't have as much of a free fire on your team. And then if you just play better macro, you'll win.
Okay.
Let's keep going. We're kind of skipping around a lot, but that's just kind of how we're not missing much.
Yeah, I got you.
Yep, this is fine. Just doing damage to shield. Yep, you see the Doomfist. You know that's your job. Okay, cool. Honestly, dude, like, just grinding Kovacs and Vax, whatever you need to do to make your aim better.
Right.
I can also talk to you about Sens after, but I'm not going to do that because it's a waste of time during a VOD review. But
That's fine.
here is just like, sorry. Here's just like a little aggressive. I don't know where your Rhine is. Your team should honestly be just playing to push here. So I mean, I don't really know if this is your fault. I would just, instead of, here's the thing, because teammates are so inconsistent, instead of playing in this open space here, I would try to make it so that you're on this side of the line, this where I'm circling, so that you can at least cut LOS when you need to. Because even if, here's the thing, what do you lose from being right here? Not really anything. Even if your Sig is pushing, if that shield does go down, you still have that extra layer of defense here.
Right, okay.
So you can be a little bit, you can still be aggressive, just be using this natural cover and not sending yourself wide in the open.
Right, gotcha.
You shouldn't die here? No, you don't. Okay, interesting. Your teammates are, okay, yeah, that's low-key team diff right there, but you could have played that better so you don't die and maybe carry harder. At least that last fight. And also, there was earlier parts in the round where like your team just kind of got destroyed and you weren't there to help them.
Right.
So, while this could be, wah, team diff, my team sucks, there's always something you could do better, and there were quite a few things you could do better that probably would have been able to just like carry the game. Like if I could play Cassidy, I'm like a 3, or I was a 4K peak DPS. If I can play fucking Cassidy and win every single game in plat, you can too, even if your team sucks. So there's always something you can do better. Mentally, keep that in mind.
Okay.
So let me skip a little bit forward to get the compositions y'all are playing. Okay, so this is perfect. So this is exactly what I had wanted to VOD review, and this is why I picked this game when you were showing me a few before we actually started recording here.
Right.
Now that you have a Hog Diva, how should you play? Like, what is your comp? What is your comp win? How do you win on this comp?
You probably just look for environmental kills or poke damage.
Let's think about it in a very basic sense.
Okay.
I want you to stop thinking so complicated about the game, because you have a tendency to do that over the time that we've talked. The game can be that complicated, but those things you don't typically need to think about until things get very hard to deal with, and that doesn't happen until like 4 or 5, maybe even.
Right.
In a close range engagement where Ryan is, and it's Ryan versus Hog close up, who's going to win? Who's going to win here? If both teams were just brawling it out, which team is probably going to win?
Theirs.
Okay, why? It's not super hard, and you probably already know the answer, so just tell me whatever you're thinking.
We have no front line.
That's one thing. They have their damage is activated by being close up, and they have better utility to take that one-on-one engagement with you, or not one-on-one, 6v6 engagement with you.
Right.
What does Hog do? Is he better on the flank? Is he better in the front line?
He's definitely better on the flank.
So now that we know that, and your main tank here is pretty much Hog.
Right.
What is your team gonna have to do?
We're gonna have to play to look for the Hog to get a pick and engage on it.
Okay, is it just the Hog that's gonna be taking an angle though?
No, because we have the Widow and me.
So in terms of positioning, are we playing close to other people, or are we all gonna take different angles and surround them?
We're all gonna take different angles and surround them.
Okay, so great. Now that we've deducted that, when you're in game, when you look at your comps, now that we have deducted that, is Cassidy really the best option here?
Not really.
Who could be a better option here?
There's
a lot of different answers. Soldier could work.
Torb, maybe?
Against what they have, I probably wouldn't play Torb because Torb's better for anti-dive.
Right. Okay, what about a Hanzo?
Hanzo could work.
Okay.
Ashe could work. Tracer could work.
Right.
Genji could fucking work if we wanted to. Echo could even work.
Right.
Characters that are going to be better on their own, that don't really suffer too much damage fall off, especially on this map, and can take angles. I think Tracer, honestly, would be my option here, just because Tracer is just so unbelievably good. But I mean, whatever it is that you want to play there. The thing is with Cassidy is Cassidy needs to get close to get stuff done, and when you're taking so many angles, the Doomfist isn't really that big of an issue unless your supports are really struggling, in which I guess you could play Cassidy like a Brig here. If that's what I end up doing. Yeah, so if you do want to play Cassidy like a Brig, you could. Mm-hmm. You could. But now that we've deducted that, I want you to understand that you need to think about that before you start every single round. Right. Because as DPS, you have so many characters to choose from that there is no excuse for not playing the best character for a given situation. And that's the most important thing. If you understand the best hero for that situation, and you can play that hero, it makes your life a lot easier. Right. But okay, let's see here. It's also how you're going to position with your team and how you can tell your team. Okay, so they play Tracer, that's totally fine. In here, in this moment, I'd probably play like a Hanzo or an Ashe. I think an Ashe would be really good here. But there's a lot of options, and it's really just what you're comfortable with at this rank. So, okay, cool. You are playing... Okay, Hog's flanking. That's very good. You're playing with your diva. You also have to understand that you're down a character. Where's your Tracer? Okay, your Tracer's already on the right as well. So this is already looking really good for you. The only thing that you need to do here is just hold this lane and not get too aggressive. Shoot shield, whatever. And just live. I wouldn't rotate over this way necessarily. I'd probably rotate back because you understand you're trying to surround them from both sides here. So if you give them too much space that way and you run this way, you're not really surrounding them.
Gotcha.
So I'd always be thinking about how you're going to close that circle on them.
Okay.
So now your Hog's just not flanking anymore. So again, I think a lot of this and a lot of the nitpicks I'm going to have with you here is that you're not getting a lot of value because you're not playing a good character that complements your composition.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Okay.
Because you need to be playing to take angles here because that's what your team is trying to do. Even if that's not exactly what they're trying to do. Because you can see right here, you're doing a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily because you don't know where to place yourself. It's just because you're not taking good angles. And you can't on this character. So...
Aim problem.
It was your first game on.
Yeah.
That changes over time. It's more important than we look over other stuff. I mean, I used to be the same way. I'm just trying to teach you, aim is only so important. Okay. But yeah, here, now your team's finally surrounding. Your Zen's getting a little aggressive to not have a Brig. But it seems like you guys won this fight. I think you can kind of see how maybe a Hanzo would do more damage here and be more effective.
Right, yeah.
So it's important that you kind of see that kind of stuff. Righty though, let's keep going. So here's the thing, right? Cassidy probably, I think, loses damage from this range here, so I'd be setting yourself up here so you're not losing damage.
Right.
It's really important on Cassidy that you're not losing damage.
Okay.
Because he does negligible damage if you're too far away.
Right.
So yeah, right here, I'd be playing left side, where your hog is right now the whole time, and just poking from there. Okay, yep, it's cool. Okay, this is fine now where you are. But you lost out on a lot of spam poke opportunities, and you could have had a high noon here by now. Yeah, I don't agree with the touch, but I guess you had to. Honestly, this whole time, if you just fix it from the start, you poke here, and then when they try to touch point, you high noon here, you just win the fight. This is all just stemming from a problem that, or a mistake you made 20 seconds ago.
Right.
So if you die here, or you lose the fight, it's just because you did something wrong 20 seconds ago. I'd be looking for high noon this whole time. There we go, finally. Could have been faster there. Again, 20 seconds ago kind of thing. But yeah, you guys lose this fight now. But it's just because you're not activating yourself. You didn't inherently do anything like feeding wrong, but you're not doing anything either. Right. So you need to set yourself up to do things while not feeding, which is kind of hard to do, but you'll learn over time.
Right.
So yeah, your hog opens up this fight with 2 picks, environmental. Yeah, you should just walk in with your team and win. At this rate, you don't really need to play for angles. You can just walk in and win because you've won the fight. And the cleanup phase started. Alright, yeah. I want you to play here until they force you out, because they don't have a Lucio. See what I'm saying? It's just too far. Okay, that was... You're just on this dude's number. But I would argue that you could do it a little bit more. Do a little bit more while being on his number. Because then you wouldn't have so much pressure afterwards that will end up getting you killed. Because then, if you set yourself up to only deal with him, eventually he's just going to be able to int on you. He'll die, but then you'll still die too because his team's ready to follow up.
Right.
But now he switched to Hanzo, so again, range problem here. You have to understand that there are better characters, and you're at a disadvantage. But it doesn't matter if they just feed, which is exactly what they're doing. Alright, so you pretty much win the fight now. You don't want to expose yourself to the Hanzo on the left side. Yep, that's totally fine. Alright, cool, you win the fight. I don't think you're gonna play up top left, so I think you're still just gonna make the same mistake. I mean, playing from this range is okay, I guess, if you're like an Ashe, but like, look how much damage you did. This was all you, by the way. This is what you did a whopping... Actually, no, because your Diva's shooting at him too. You did a whopping like 50 damage.
Yeah.
Not even. You probably did less than that because of armor too. So you got to keep that in mind. It also is a lot harder to hit those shots. That Ryan still dies though, right? You should. You should walk on that when there's an anti. You know, take those engagements when you can.
Right.
Overall, just you're very scared. I feel like you used to be masters and now you're plat. And you feel like you're feeding, but like, to be honest, it's because you're not setting yourself up to do things. Like before, you kind of were inting, and I was like, "Hey, dude, stop inting and flank like this." And then now it's like, "Oh shit, I'm really scared and I don't know what to do." Now just think through how the compositions work and then play smart. Like, you got value there, but it's because this guy is feeding uncontrollably. This guy is feeding so hard that he's just giving you value.
Right.
Because if he was a smart player, he wouldn't have died there, because he wouldn't have stayed up so far, and yeah. Okay, Hainun. It was a little risky because of the sleep dart, but it was okay. Okay, this is a win. Okay, cool. Overall, right there, understanding what your character is good at, you don't have super hard range, and also understanding what your comp wants to do, which is take a lot of angles and surround the enemy. When you play like that, it's not hard. It's really not hard to win. And even if your team isn't playing quote-unquote correctly, so long as you're using your team to the best of your ability, you're maximizing your chances of winning in ladder. You're not going to win every single game, but at least maximizes your chances. Now, the main reason why I wanted to talk to you about the whole stacking together thing, and you don't want to do that on this comp, is because of this fight right here. You guys are going to stack, and you're going to see how easy it is for you to lose. You have a Reaper, Diva, and a Hog. You immediately die because you have no shield, so you're already down one. And now your Hog's just going to start walking in, and this is when you guys just lose. So what I want you to notice is, did it feel like you could do anything more that fight?
No.
That's a clear indication of, I'm playing this completely wrong.
Yeah.
Where their team, you're playing into what makes them the most activated, and your team the least activated.
Right.
And you lost because of it. It's not just because you lost the Zen, it's because you guys are trying to brawl against that composition with a Rein Zarya and a Hanzo, and that's just going to completely just destroy you and burst you down.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you're playing ranked, if you don't play into what activates them and what activates you, you can have more of those fights, and then you don't have to really try that hard, and you'll still win. It's crazy how that works.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why Shroud is Diamond after being like level 200 in this game.
Right.
Consistently Diamond, because he doesn't know what the hell he's doing, and he just hits shot and think good, but that doesn't mean nothing.
Right.
You need to think and make the shots count. Which is why I love Overwatch. So you're just shooting here. I would be rotating immediately when they're not looking at you, because what's going to happen probably is now they're going to know you're there, and they're going to shoot you guys in the rotation, which you should die, but you're probably not because it's plat. So yeah, you're going to get shot here, and you don't die because the little plat pog. But again, this is one of those situations where it's like, I would argue that you shouldn't path this way. You should probably path through like kitchen.
Okay.
And try to look for like just a different angle and not try to just like hard kill them on point.
Right.
But this is just such a good brawl map that it's really hard to play the comp you're playing.
Right.
So sometimes you just have to theory craft and make it work. Which is, I mean, it's working, so I can't really complain. Alright, cool, you win this fight. Let's see how the next fight goes. You're taking high ground. Right here is just another thing that I'm just not super in love with, by the fact that your team's just kind of walking in there, but, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, you're just kind of chilling on the height. I just think the Cassidy isn't the best pick here.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it'll make your life a lot easier if you're not having to deal with playing Cassidy here. Here is you're losing damage, but you're looking for a high noon, so I can understand where this would be an okay option. Really, your team should be like surrounding them right there. But if I know you're not super keen on being in voice chat all the time, so.
I mean, I was the only one actually.
Okay.
In this game, which is funny enough.
So right here, yeah, standing still is fine. Just you didn't see the widow. Overall, just right here, you're too far that you're losing damage. It's like, as Cassidy, you're losing damage. If you're going to play that far, you might as well just be playing Ashe.
Okay.
And you have to realize that. So right now you're scared of the Widow. You know that you're being seen by sights. That doesn't necessarily mean that you should play right here and drop so that you can never be seen by Widow. The thing that you have to realize is just jiggle peek corner. Well, no, you can't do that because she can see you. Just try to get an idea of where Widow is, and if you're gonna play like where you are on point, I wouldn't really play there. I'd rather you just play up here where they can't reach you and just poke.
Right. Okay.
But the thing is, you're exposed to Widow, I guess, a little bit in this position, so you want to make sure you can try to find where Widow is first in the common angles, which she would generally be, which is either main, left, or behind you over there. And you heard the voice line of the ultimate, so this one is not what it is. Or sorry, let me switch. This one is not what it is, so it's either this one or this one or this one. So those are the only angles you really have to worry about, unless it's Kefri, and then you have to just, you never fucking know.
Well, watch what stupid thing happens next.
Okay. Yeah, alright. I mean, like, that's never going to happen when you climb, and you're going to get punished for that.
Yeah.
So, can't think about that as a consistent type of thing. Okay. Nice. You should win the game off this right here, right now.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. Cool. Micro, I can't really say a whole lot. Not that it's perfect, but by the fact that you just never really activated yourself. So get your notes ready.
Got my notes
Number
ready.
one.
Number one.
Most important thing is understanding activation.
Okay.
Activation. And what do I mean by that? Enemy. Understanding how the enemy is activated might be the literal most important thing to you when you're first starting out. Understanding how your enemy wants to play and not letting them do that.
Right.
Because if they can't do that, they can't win, and then the game's really easy.
Right.
Understanding then, your team. How does your team get activated? How does my team want to play to stop how they want to play? And if it's not working, even when we're playing to our strengths, then the comp is weak, and we need to find a different option for the map that you're playing on.
Mm-hmm.
Because on King's... Oh, no, that's about it. Like, on Village, the Brawl should have won there, but when you start getting up, it gets a little bit harder because people actually know how to play the game. And it's not just like people running like chickens with their heads cut off.
Mm-hmm.
So, understanding how your team wants to be activated, which will also help you with how you want to be activated, which is what our last point of last sub point of this point is going to be. How are you activated within the team? If I'm really struggling on Cassidy to kill things from range, what's a better hit scan for that? Ashe. In every situation, Ashe is always going to be better at range than Cassidy. Ashe is just better Cassidy from range. From close range, that's different because Cassidy has the stun. Cassidy's almost entire kit is just based on the stun and like the nice damage and health that he has. So he's a lot more bulky and brawly. If you're not going to be playing for brawl playstyle, you're playing Ashe or Echo or Tracer because you need to get stuff from range or surround them in some capacity.
Right.
So, do you have questions about that point?
No.
Okay, number two. What would number two even be here? I'm not really sure. I feel like, honestly, the activation thing is so big. I guess, like, cover, making sure that you're not exposing yourself, because you do that a lot. You just never really got punished for it. Just making sure that you're not overexposing yourself, and that if there's a square here, that you're not just sitting in the middle, and you're playing to some side of the square.
Right.
That you're playing to some side of the square, so that you're not completely keeping yourself in the open, because you did die a few times because of that, because you just were not in cover.
Right.
But you can also take aggressive cover as well, so you don't always need to be in cover. Once the fight is won, it's won, and you can get aggressive, but you don't want to stay so far out in the open that you don't keep yourself safe to like possible shatter attempts. And then number three, I would just say the Vaxta. I personally prefer the Vaxta for whatever you're going to be playing for warm-up. Also Kovacs. If you want to get started on Kovacs, I have playlists from like contenders DPS players.
Okay.
If you are interested in that, I can get that to you afterwards.
Okay.
We can talk more about aim and stuff afterwards as well in terms of sensitivities and what you might be using. But I think the Vax 30 minutes always helps literally everyone I work with.
Okay.
But the aim right now, I would not say is the main problem. The main problem is setting yourself up to aim correctly in a good scenario.
Okay.
Does everything that I said today make sense?
Yes.
What I will say is when you're thinking, try to dumb it down a little bit. Think about it from, does this team want to play rush together and run me down? Does this team want to poke me out from a far away angle and then kill them once so that we don't even get to close the distance on them? Or is this team trying to surround me and like kill my backline or just kill whoever's out of position? So are they playing dive spam or brawl? And how can I play my dive spam or brawl better than their dive spam or brawl on X map?
Okay.
That's how simple it needs to be.
Right.
It doesn't need to be, well, I need to position myself here so that I can play on the mega there, so that then when they dive on me, I can rotate to the left, and then it's going to be great. Because I'm going to tell you straight up, dude, that shit's never going to happen in Plat. They're just gonna say, "Ooh, Cassidy," and they're like gonna just run at you, and it's just not. You can't think that hard.
Okay.
Not yet, at least. Like all of those different intricacies are like little bonus points that you can kind of get as you move on and up, and it starts to make more sense, and you see where engagements typically happen. But there's just way too many different variables you're thinking of. You need to just dumb it down and think about it from a very basic standpoint, because that's all you need to do to get to GM.
Right.
If they're playing Brawl and you're playing Spam, how am I going to poke them out so that by the time they get to me, they're already really weak and we can just win the Brawl? If they're on, I don't know, Dive and they're trying to surround me and I'm playing Brawl, I can't just really run down on anyone. What can I do? I can sit on the objective so that they are forced to come to the objective, and then we brawl in the objective and they are now playing into our strength.
Right.
If I'm playing Dive against their Spam, how can we minimize Spam to get really close to surround them, take out all their cooldowns with a minimal amount of our cooldowns, and then whittle them down and win?
Right.
Stuff like that. If I'm playing a comp that needs a lot of angles, how am I going to do that against the Brawl so that I don't get run down on? Ping-ponging back and forth. It's stuff like that.
Right, okay.
And that's literally everything I just told you. That's the only questions you ever need to answer. And if you can answer those questions every single game, you will win. Every single game.
Okay.
So keep that in mind. Do you have any other questions?
No, I think I'm good.
All right, cool. Again, if anyone that is watching on YouTube made it this far, thank you so much. You've probably already been subscribed for a while now if you made it this far. But if you haven't, consider it. And also give the video a like so more people can learn all of this good stuff, because I really think this would help a lot of players, especially in lower elos. But until next time, I've got to peace out and Paz out. I'll see you on the next one.